In this video I'm going to talk a little bit about VCR repair, something I've yet to make a video on. Anyway, used to be a lot of money in these things. Unfortunately, there aren't as many people that want them repaired nowadays, but every now and then somebody still brings one in. And this particular one, the gentleman brought it in complaining that the VCR ate tapes. Now that can come from a variety of different reasons, but I'm going to talk about one of the more common ones that a lot of people probably don't know about, and that's the corroded mode switch. Now if you ever look at the bottom of a VCR, sometimes the mode switch is mounted on the circuit board itself, and sometimes it's on the chassis. This one's chassis mounted. And in fact, let me take it out here so you can see what this thing looks like. This was a real easy one to take apart, I'm happy to say. Now this is the mode switch right here, and it's got the little contact points right here that make contact with the circuit board. And the way it works is this thing, the mode switch rotates, and the reason it rotates, it's a rotary switch, and it lets the microprocessor know what mode the VCR is in. So for example, if it's in the play mode and you're pushing the eject button, it's not going to let the eject button work, and that's because the mode switch has multiple contacts in it and kind of lets it know what position it's in. Now, because these things corrode inside, a lot of guys would just replace them, but I found that you can clean them. I've had a lot of success cleaning them, and there's a trick to getting them apart. First of all, I used to try to push in these tabs right here on the side, and what would often happen is I'd end up breaking them. You don't want to do that. But if you're clever, if you have maybe 3 hands available at once, which most of us don't, you might be able to push in, or 4 hands rather, you might be able to push in 4 tabs at once. But another way to get these things apart, a lot of times you could just take a flat blade screwdriver, carefully put it under here. Let's see if I can do this without damaging anything. Oh, before I proceed, I almost forgot the most important point. These things have to be lined up. When you put everything back together here, if you don't get it lined up, you can end up in big trouble. In fact, if we look closely at the gear down here, you'll notice that there's a little hole on this gear, and I'm going to take my marking pen. I'm going to draw a little mark right there. I've done enough of these so where I kind of know how things are supposed to be lined up here, but basically if I was to rotate the belt that you can't see in this video, it would move the position of this gear and it would mess everything up. Now the same with the mode switch. The mode switch has a little indentation on it if you look carefully. It's not real big, but let me see if I put my finger behind it. You can kind of see the indentation is right here. You get that thing out of alignment when you put the mode switch back in, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and take my screwdriver now and pry this thing apart, and hopefully I'll have success. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. Oh, hey, look at that. Popped right out. I got lucky. There's the back side. If you look, you've got these little like brushes that as they rotate they make contact with the metal inside here, and what happens is the metal gets really corroded over time. And so what I do to clean it up, I've got one of these pens here. What do you call this thing? It's designed for cleaning the paint off circuit board traces. So if you're going to solder onto circuit board trace, you'd rub these. This is like a fiberglass in the bottom of this pen shaped thing here. In fact, I've got an old one here that I got from Radio Shack a long time ago. Oh, sorry, pretty messy. I've had it for years. Basically, it's got a brush that I can turn this thing. I can make the fiberglass hairs stick out here, and this one's got essentially the same thing. So what I do is I take this fiberglass pen and I rub it inside the mode switch like this, and I do this for a while. I may do it for a couple minutes, just to where I know I've really cleaned up all the corrosion inside there. I want that thing to get real shiny and get rid of all that corrosion. Not just corrosion, but it's also got a lubricant in there that seems to like it yellows over time and it gets all corroded. So what I do is I clean this up for a while, get it all clean. By the way, I don't know if a lot of you guys go back far enough. You remember the first TV tuners that came out, they had similar contacts in them, and those things were always corroding, so anybody that owned a TV did well to also have a can of tuner cleaner with the TV, because you always had to spray inside the contacts in the tuner. They were always oxidizing. And in fact, I met a guy that opened a TV repair shop next to the beach, knowing it'd be a great business, and he turned out to be right. Had a lot of jobs just cleaning up the tuners for people. That was in the good old days when you used to be able to make a lot of money doing this sort of stuff. Now it's not so good. Anyway, I've been doing it so many years it's hard to walk away from it. So anyways, you can see that's a lot cleaner in there now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let me see, I could take some tuner cleaner. I never trust tuner cleaner just to lubricate it. I want to use a silicone grease. In fact, what I use a dielectric tune-up grease. It's a silicone grease. I think it's pretty good stuff. I'm just going to take a little paper towel and rub it around there, and just a little bit more, just to get all that old grease out of there. I think I've pretty much cleaned it up. There we go. The other thing worth cleaning, I noticed that on the side here, these metal contacts, they've been pretty well oxidized too. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these up. Some of the other things that can cause your VCR to eat tapes is a slipping belt. I guess the clutch mechanisms can go bad from time to time, and they can cause you problems too. But I think the mode switch is one of the more common ones, and a lot of people don't know about it. In fact, I should advertise that you can send me your VCR and maybe I'll get it going. You know what I don't like are those dual VCRs. There we go, that looks a lot cleaner. I don't like those dual units that have the DVD player built into them. Those things just aren't made to be worked on. Even this one is almost questionable as to whether it was worth working on it or not. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some of my dielectric tune-up grease. I'm going to put it inside here. Kind of move it around a little bit. I don't want to put too much, and I don't want to put too little. I want to make sure everything gets good and coated here. And then I'm going to pop it back together and spin it a few times by hand, and hopefully that'll take care of it. I'm kind of squeezing the tube, not real hard, just enough to make sure I get a little coating on all the terminals here. That looks pretty good. Boy, it sure looks a lot better than it did anyway. So now this thing here, this has got the brushes on it. Kind of hard to see, I suppose, but it's got the two little brushes there that kind of, as the thing turns, it kind of spins. Every once in a while I pry these up a little bit. I try to be gentle, because what's the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I figure these things might have lost a little bit of their spring, so I just bent it up just a tad bit. And I suppose I could clean these things, these brushes too, although I don't think that's much of a problem. There we go. So I'm going to pop this back together now, if I can. Let's see if I can get this back in here. Doggone it. Hard to get that thing lined up just right. Well, there we go. There we go. Well, just for the record, the VCR is working great now. I had a little problem lining up the loading carriage, but I finally got it in there, and I think I'm in business. All right. Hope you enjoy the video. See y'all in the next one.